gosh, has it been two years, 2 full years, 3 4 full years?
This
I
is
think
my
you're
fourth year, Joe.
fourth year. Gosh. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. We're just thrilled to welcome President Barbara Wilson from the University of Iowa with us today on the Iowa BizCast. The Iowa Business Council produces the Iowa BizCast each month, or roughly each month, talking about the great things that not only our big business members are doing, but what the university systems are doing across the state. And Barb is a great member of our Business Education Alliance, but she's so much more than that, a huge and impactful leader across the state. She's been the president of the University of Iowa since the summer of 2021. In her first year, the university finalized a 5-year strategic plan, launched transformative faculty recruitment and retention programs, and through the recently inaugurated First Gen Hawks program, saw increased retention rates among students who are first in their family to attend college. A lot of dynamic things happening under her leadership. In addition to that, her and her team have raised over $400 million to support student support, faculty, healthcare initiatives, including the largest gift ever in the history of Iowa's 175-year tenure here so far in our state. So Barb, tremendous leadership. We so appreciate your service and work in our state, but with our business council as well. So welcome to the BizCast and great to have you with us.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. You know, it sounds like I've been a busy person, and I have been, but I've got a great team of folks all around me that make all of those things possible. So I have to underscore, president's important, but the team is even more important. So.
Well, and you have a great team, and we enjoy working with them all. Let's just start off of an introduction of the university. Of course, everybody in the country, but of course, the state of Iowa knows about the University of Iowa. But what would you like to share on the impact that the university has on our daily lives as Iowans?
Yeah, thank you. Well, as you point out, lots of people know Iowa now, especially because of women's basketball last year. But we are so much more. And when I travel across the state, and I've really been to all parts, almost all counties of the state, certainly many of them, I'm really heartened by how many people talk about the impact of the university on daily lives. And probably the biggest impact is the recruitment of students and bringing students here from all 99 counties of the state. This year, we welcomed our third largest class of new students in our history, in our 177-year history. So we continue to be a destination university for students from all across the state, but really from outside the state as well. So I think students are one of our biggest impact, but we also have this tremendous, as you and I have discussed before, tremendous impact on healthcare across the state. And I always remind people, you know, we are responsible. 8 out of 10 dentists in the state of Iowa were trained by the university here. And 5 out of the 10 pharmacists who are practicing in the state were trained by us. 5 out of 10 doctors who are practicing in Iowa have some training at the university. So we really have a broad and expansive impact on the health and well-being of the state. We can do more, and we're always looking to do more, but we're really proud of just placing extremely competent professionals across the state working on all aspects of healthcare. It's not just medicine, it's dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, public health.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably our biggest impact for the citizens of the state.
Well, that's great, and certainly we appreciate that as Iowans. You know, having a world class healthcare institution generating a talented workforce, but new discoveries, and you know, a lot of that impact that we were just talking about is derived from research that the university conducts. The innovations and the discoveries fostered by the faculty is truly incredible. What are some of the areas that you're most proud of from a research perspective?
Thanks for that question. This year, we've really been honing in on 3 areas that we are particularly proud of that reflect interdisciplinary work. So areas that people across the campus are working on. We have many, many areas of research, space physics, and, and a variety of other aspects. But when we really think about the three that we're probably best known for and that bring people together across the campus, I would say they're this: writing and communications. And people might think that's an odd thing to express in terms of research, but there's a whole literature and research behind how to write well, how to communicate effectively, how to think about communication strategically. And of course, we have the Writers Workshop, we have the nonfiction writing program, we have all kinds of areas of writing. And we tell our students, if you come to Iowa, no matter what you study, you're going to learn how to write and communicate. We've got a writing center in the Tippie College of Business. We have one in engineering. We have one in our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So students are getting hands-on practical and theoretical experience with communication and writing. And that's a big part of what we do. The second area is brain science and mental health. And, we have one of the oldest I'll call it psychology departments. We call it psychological and brain sciences departments in the country. And we have a very strong collaborative group of people working in the area of neuroscience. We have a neuroscience institute. We have a brand new undergraduate major in neuroscience. And we're working on issues related to the impact of the brain on Parkinson's disease, on depression, on anxiety, and really just the impact of the brain on everyday well-being and mental health. So that's a big part of what we're doing. And included in that is our Scanlon Center for School Mental Health, which is teaching and training teachers in K through 12 schools across the state on how to deal with mental health issues as early as the elementary school years. So I would say that's a second area that we're really proud of, and that brings together faculty and students and staff from across the campus, across different colleges. And then the third one is cancer research and patient care. I hate to say that we have a higher rate of cancer than many other states. You know that, I know that. But the good news is we have an incredible wealth of experience and talent on our campus in cancer care and cancer research. We have an NCI, National Cancer Institute here. There's only 72 in the country, and we have one of them here at Iowa. We've got researchers working on bladder cancer, oral cancer, every type of cancer you can imagine, and trying to continue to refine treatment protocols, attract federal dollars to do research on cancer, and to really understand what the causes and cures are of different kinds of cancers. Unfortunately, Iowa has the second highest rate of cancer in the country. So the fact that we're a nexus for cancer care, prevention, treatment is really important to us, and I think important to the state. So those, I think, are the three that pull faculty together from across the campus, regardless of college: writing and communication, brain science and mental health, and cancer care and research.
Yeah, just an incredible example of the power of a Research One institution in the state of Iowa. We are so lucky to have an institution like yours generating that research that's applicable every day to Iowans, not only on the healthcare side, but on the social sciences side, and then making sure that you're spurring economic development for future opportunities for Iowans here in our state. That's just incredible. Let's
Yeah, and if you don't mind, thank you, Joe,
Yeah.
for that shout out. I really appreciate it. I think what people sometimes don't realize is that the University of Iowa is one of 71 institutions in the country that is part of the AAU, the Association of American Universities, these are the universities that are the top research universities in the country, attracting the most dollars, attracting the best researchers, and doing the cutting edge research that is allowing us to make cures in different areas and to do the kind of work that helps us better understand depression as it relates to brain chemistry. And, these are research aspects and activities that affect everyday lives. When we ask people in a room, how many of you have family members affected by depression, or how many of you know family members with Parkinson's disease, you get almost everybody raising their hands. So to have a university like this in the state of Iowa, attracting federal research dollars, attracting donor support so that we can do this kind of work and provide these clinical trial treatments for patients, we're really lucky. And I know I'm supposed to brag because I'm the president, but I'm just bragging as an everyday person too. It's pretty incredible.
It is, and to stay on that note, I came up in the university world, and so I know how important it is, that AAU status. But it's incredible for the state of Iowa to have one of those premier research institutions in our state. It's truly a huge deal. The amount of research dollars that comes in that supports our economy, the discoveries that are founded by your faculty members. Really incredible. And I also know how difficult it is to maintain that status. And so the fact that you and your team can continue year over year, continue to march in that direction, to be among the best institutions literally in the country is incredible. Let's stay on healthcare a little bit and talk about that. Obviously, UIHC is in Iowa City, but under your leadership, as we mentioned at the beginning, the healthcare mission of the university has expanded to rural parts of the state. How is this process going, and what's the long-term objective on rural healthcare and expanding that into other parts of Iowa?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's something we think about every day. I think it's going well. It can always go better. We're working really closely with state leadership on how to make sure that healthcare stays local. I mean, we are not interested in bringing everyone to Iowa City for healthcare treatment. Certainly, we want to bring them here when cases get complex and they need particular expertise and particular technologies. But the goal is to keep healthcare as local as possible and to build a stronger network of providers across the state that can connect in with experts here, but can do a lot of the treatment and everyday care in local communities and in rural areas of Iowa. One of the things we've been doing is working closely with the governor and with the legislature on funding for rural health. And so 2 years ago, we asked the state for funding primarily for enhancing our College of Nursing. And, we decided, let's just be clear what we can do with an increase in state funding. And we went to them and we asked for an increase to our budget, and the state invested $2.8 million in our College of Nursing. And we said we'd grow the enrollment by 48 students in 4 years, and we're already ahead of schedule in year 2 in enhancing the College of Nursing. And we know there's a nursing shortage across the state. Nurses can do a lot, especially when they're technically trained and particularly good at what they do. And so our goal is to enhance our impact, at that level. So that's one example. Then last year we asked for another increase in our budget, all devoted to rural healthcare, and we received $5.4 million. And in this case, we said we would add more students to our clinical Masters of Social Work program. We would add more students to our Advanced Registered Nurse Practitioner program in psychology or psychiatric treatments, and that we would do more work in the Scanlon Center to get training out to teachers. We were really happy to receive an increase. We didn't get quite as much as we wanted, but we certainly got a good chunk, and we're ahead of schedule on all of those 3 goals as well. So this year we're coming back to the state and saying, all right, our request is for an additional 10 million in funding. And our focus, if we are lucky to receive that additional funding, would be to continue to increase mental health providers, continue to get more advanced registered nurse practitioners trained. And these are folks that are going to go right back into rural communities and continue their great care, and to work on community pharmacy as well, because we know that a good chunk of community pharmacists are going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. And our pharmacy school is great, and we can train even more students interested in community pharmacy. So those are our goals. So far, the legislature has been very receptive. The governor's been great. Again, we want to train students here and then encourage them to get out into the communities and practice in Iowa.
I think it's a testament to your leadership and again, your team on looking at what the state needs. And you mentioned the healthcare workforce, right? I mean, when you look, we do a lot in workforce. And when you look at the Iowa Jobs website, I think 7 of the top 10 most needed jobs in the state are relating to healthcare. We touched on the mental health, the access to healthcare points as well. I mean, your legislative investment request is always tailored to the needs of Iowans. And I think that that's just an incredible way to form a partnership with the state, the governor, the legislature. And you guys do a great job of maintaining that focus on Iowa, and should be emulated by others as well. So we look forward to supporting you in those efforts.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's the way to do things, right? I mean, we can't, we could just say, give us more money, but
Right.
that's not a very persuasive argument. And we know what the needs are, and we can help meet many of those needs if we can work together. So we're excited about the possibilities going forward.
That's right. So let's stay on the workforce. We were just talking about that on the healthcare side, but beyond healthcare, recruiting and retaining talent in Iowa is a persistent challenge in our state. Taking a long-term view of the state's needs, what are some important areas the university is investing time and effort into to make sure that that next generation of Iowa's workforce is well educated, well prepared, and able to engage in the workplace right away?
Yeah, well, we're in the middle of a big campaign right now, and a big part of that campaign is scholarship funding for students. As you know, there's a lot of concern nationally about the cost of higher education. People feel like a college degree seems to make a difference, but they're not sure they can afford it. And so one of our goals is to keep it as affordable as possible. And I'm happy to report that we are the 3rd lowest in-state tuition in the Big Ten, even in the expanded Big Ten. So we've worked really hard to keep our costs down, to keep our tuition in-state as low as possible, and then to just plow a lot of scholarship money back into the system to help students afford going to college. The good news is that when our students graduate, 50% of them graduate with 0 debt. And that's not a statistic that people know about very much, because all we hear about are these horrible stories about student debt that are all often anecdotal. But 50% of our students graduate with 0 debt. And it's not because they came in wealthy. It's because we're plowing a lot of money into work study, into work opportunities on campus, and into scholarships for students. So I think that's one of our big initiatives. I talk to donors all the time. If you want to help us with students, financial aid, scholarships, help us make sure students can stay in college, afford to be here, and graduate with little debt. The other 50% that do have some debt, the average is $28,000, not $100,000. It's $28,000. Now we'd like to get that down even lower, but if you think about the cost of a new car, this is a $28,000 investment in a career and a lifetime of difference. And so we feel like it's reasonable, but we'd like to get it even lower than that. So I think we're proud of those statistics. I'm also proud that out of 5 of our new students is first in family to go to college. And many of those young people are coming from rural parts of Iowa. So how do we bring them here, support them through graduation, make sure they leave with small amount of debt, if any, and then stay in Iowa and become active professionals in their communities and in the workplace. So those are just a couple things we're working on all the time.
That's a lot. That's incredible. As you mentioned, there's stories, all throughout social media and other places, right, on the student debt issues. But again, the University of Iowa and all the public universities in our state do just a tremendous job in maintaining that And it's the best investment anybody can make in themselves. It's clear, it's beyond clear. All the studies showcase that average lifetime earnings well over $1 million more graduating with a bachelor's degree. It's the best investment that you can make in yourself early on
And in our communities, right? I mean,
yeah.
college graduates on average are healthier, they pay more taxes, they're more likely to be leaders in their communities. You know, it's a good thing for communities to have college graduates, and we are excited to be part of that mission. College isn't for everybody, but for a heck of a lot of students, it will transform them and their families.
Right. And they pay more taxes because they earn a lot of money. They earn money, right? And so that's an important distinction, I think, that we always have to make. So you're a communication scholar, and as we were talking before, I guess the show started, if we can call it a show, about the needs of our employers who can communicate effectively. And so as a communication scholar and a leader of one of the preeminent writing universities in the nation, can you talk about the importance of communication and how the university is building that skill set into all your graduates, no matter what college they're graduating from?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously it's my discipline, so I'm delighted to be at a university that emphasizes writing and communication. It feels like an unbelievable fit for me because I'm so passionate about it. And you know what you know this from the work you've been doing, employers today want graduates who can engage in certain skills related to communication, writing, working in teams. But let's just stay on focus on writing and communication. It is such an important aspect of how you think strategically, how you form arguments, how you can connect with people, how you can solve problems. And storytelling is a huge part of our businesses. Your business, it's a big part of the university's business. It's, if you think about any big activity, you need to be able to tell powerful stories. And we're training students, like I said, across disciplines. You know, we've got writing centers in almost every college. Even our law school brands itself as the writing law school. And I think it's a part of our distinctive niche that we can tell students, you're going to learn how to craft narratives, you're going to learn how to think strategically about communication. If you think about just think about the pandemic, which most people don't want to think about anymore. So I'm not sure why I'm bringing up a negative example, but I think it's a classic example where the science was ahead of our ability to tell the story, to communicate to people about science, to make sure they understood that science changes, that what we know today might be different than what we're going to know in 6 months. How do we communicate to neighborhoods and communities about what they can do to battle a pandemic and what is effective and what's not? We had so many failures in that realm that I think it slowed down our progress in actually making an effective response to the pandemic. So the science was there, and yet the communication about the science and about the pandemic was not as sophisticated and effective as it needed to be. And you can think of many examples like that. And so I think even when you think about the political environment we're in right now, how do we teach students to communicate across differences? You know, we talk about that every day with our students. You're going to encounter people from all different kinds of backgrounds and different experiences. And your goal is not to try to persuade them that you're right. Your goal is to sit and listen and find common ground. If we could do more of that as a society right now, I think we would be healthier. And so we're training students every day across our colleges in those kinds of skills. And I think they're the kinds of skills that communities and businesses need today. So.
Yeah, without question. As we noted, we hear this time and time again. And so the earlier students can acquire those skills and continue to hone those skills throughout their career, the more successful that they'll be, the more opportunities that they'll have, and the more impactful they will be, not just in their careers, but in their personal lives and their extracurriculars outside of the classroom or
in their neighborhoods, right?
Course, right. It's truly transferable across all aspects. So we'll transition now into our into the popular segment, sort of the leadership lightning round, if you will, a bit more personal in questions, but people are very interested in how leaders of huge organizations structure their day, channel their intake of news, and how you generally stay on top of everything while engaging in personal interests, because you're allowed to have personal interests and hobbies outside
Really?
of you are outside of 18-hour days. So just for starters, with all the things going on a university campus, particularly your campus, how does a university president structure their day to maximize their impact?
Well, I'm not sure I'm an effective model in this regard, but because you're asking, I'll tell you how I schedule my day. One thing I try really hard to do is get some exercise every morning. It's not always possible. And it usually means walking and doing a little running with our dog in the morning and picking up trash on campus. So that's how I start my day. And if I can get a good walk or a quick bike exercise or anything like that in the morning, my day is going to be better for it. And my staff knows that. So they try to protect the early morning to the extent possible, because once the day starts, I can't, most events we have a lot of events in the evening, and it's really hard to do exercise later in the day. So it's morning or nothing. And I'm pretty committed to at least getting my heart rate up most mornings if I can. Um, I'm an avid reader of most of the major news uh, outlets, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal. I get the highlights for those every morning. And then I also get the higher ed readings, like the Chronicle for Higher Education, Inside Higher Ed. And I scan those headlines every morning, and I can't read everything, but at least the ones that are really relevant to Iowa and to the University of Iowa, I make sure to scan. And that's, before 8:30 most mornings. So, and then I come in and it's just meeting or event after event, and typically, goes into the evening depending on what's happening on campus or whether I'm traveling. It's a crazy schedule. I've got great people who try to protect it as much as possible, but my job is to be out and about, to learn, to listen, and to advocate. And you can't do that when you sit in your office all day. So
Right. Great point. Great point. Um, so you mentioned the news intake, but there's so many things that you have to be informed on, whether it's news in the business world, the academic world, specific to your industry as a scholar, and then specific to all of the things that are going on across the university. So how do you structure and stay informed? You mentioned you scan the headlines earlier in the day, but as you know, there are things that are breaking news at all hours. So how do you synthesize that intake of news for your industry, the community, business? How does that? Let's take a deeper dive into that.
yeah, well, I've got a great team of people who are scanning the media all the time, not just me. And one of them's right across the hall. So, Pete Mathis will run in and let me know if there's a crisis brewing, or if, he's probably monitoring the media even more than I am. But there's a whole crew of people that are doing that here. And so, I feel like we're pretty connected. We've got a lot of people focusing on breaking news outlets on social media, tracking news stories, tracking what's going on in Des Moines. We've got folks working in Des Moines, helping us with state issues. So there's no end to the ways in which information gets fed into this office. The challenge is to stay focused on any one thing. Frankly, it's not on getting the news, it's how to filter it so that you're not absorbed by it or distracted by it, because there's a crisis brewing every day in some aspect of the country, or in higher ed, or even sometimes on this campus. And if you don't stay focused on what you're doing, you can lose track of the strategic goals. And we're focused on student success, research, and impact on the state, and the tremendous work we're doing in healthcare. That's just got to be our laser focus all the time. And so, I get more excited. This year, we one of our goals in our 5-year strategic plan is to increase our student retention. And when I got here, our retention rate was about 87, 88%, meaning we lose about 12% of our students from year 1 to year 2, and that's too many. It's below our peer group, and it's needs to go up. So we've been so focused on student retention the last 3 years. We've started the First Gen Hawks program. We're doing a lot of other activities to help students learn better and achieve better performance in classes. And this year, 3rd year into our 5-year strategic plan, we hit 90%, which was our 5-year goal. So I'm so proud of that. And I think about that every day. Still we're losing 10%. I'd like to be higher than that, but every percent is 50 students staying in college. And, we've done that in 3 years when it was our 5-year goal. And it's not because we're just sitting hoping that it'll happen. It's because we've got activities across campus working on student success, working on maintaining the support students need to stay in college. It's easy to drop out, and we don't want our students to leave. So
Right. Absolutely.
that was a long answer to your question, but
No, it's well worth the long answer. I mean, these are important issues, and congratulations on getting that up. That's difficult to do.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So the last question, hard-hitting question that we have, are you binge watching anything on Netflix or another channel that you care to recommend to the Iowa BizCast audience?
wow, I don't like to recommend things to people because everybody's taste is so different. But we certainly enjoy our share of Netflix and other series. I think the one we've probably enjoyed most recently is The Bear, the Chicago-based show about the restaurant in Chicago. We love the acting. We love this inside look on how to take a restaurant from one level to the next. And it's just been fun because we both spent a lot of time in Chicago in our lives, my husband and me. So it's got a lot of meaning to us. I think that's probably the most fun we've had recently with binge watching. So yeah.
You got to escape. That's good. We'll put
Yeah.
that on the
You
list.
have to escape every now and then. You have to do something that's completely unrelated to work or you'll go crazy. And we tell our students that all the time. We talk about mental health here a lot. We want our students to be able to tell when they're getting stressed out. We want them to be able to sense when they need some help and reassurance and maybe some coaching or whatever the case is, whether they're not eating right or not sleeping right. We want mental health activities to be infused throughout the colleges so that students get help early when they're feeling anxious. It's a part of everyday life. And if we can help them with those skills, as early as their first year, they're going to be better off for it. I always say we can't take the stress away from your life because it is a stressful world at times, but we can help build those skills and capacity so that you can cope with the stress when it comes. And I think that's another big push we have at Iowa. And, when people come here, they tell us there's a strong sense of community here when they visit, when they become members of this place. And I'm proud of that too. And part of that is we care about each other. We want to help each other. We want people to succeed here. And that's not true at every university that I've been to or that I've worked at. So it's a distinct culture. It's something Iowa should be proud of. The university is a strong community.
Absolutely. Well, President Wilson, thank you so much for joining us today on the BizCast. You're a terrific leader for this state, a terrific partner in all the things that we're doing, and just really appreciate everything that you're doing for your community, for the larger community in Iowa, and all the great things that are surely to come as we continue down this road. So what final words would you like to leave our audience with today?
Oh, final words. Just support the Hawkeyes, however you can do it. And if it means going to a game or helping us with an internship for one of our students, oh my gosh, that's a game changer for us. So if you want to keep these bright students in Iowa, find internship opportunities for these folks because they would like to stay here if they can find jobs. So, support the Hawkeyes. I guess that's my message.
It's a great way to end it. President Wilson, thanks so much. Really appreciate your time today. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching on
Thanks,
YouTube.
Joe. I really appreciate all you do too.
Thank you. And go Hawks.
Go
There, I said it.
Hawks. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.